Good to have you with us on this Monday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thank you for starting your week with us. We are going to begin this Monday morning with the ongoing war with Iran as the conflict stretches into its third week. Well, this weekend, the 6 U.S. crew members who died when their military refueling plane crashed in Iraq early Friday morning were publicly identified. With their deaths confirmed, 12 U.S. service personnel have now been killed since this war began on February 28th, as well as a 13th service member who died of a medical issue.
This morning, Iran continues to threaten shipping in that critical Strait of Hormuz, and that is creating chaos in the global energy markets. The price of crude oil once again jumped over $100 a barrel on Sunday. Both allies and rivals of the U.S., including China and France, reacted cautiously after President Trump said that they should help police and protect the Strait of Hormuz. And U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright told NBC News on Sunday that there is a very good chance gas prices could drop below $3 a gallon by the summer. He's predicting that in a few more weeks, the U.S. will have removed Iran's grip on global energy supplies. Gas prices were averaging $2.95 a gallon in the U.S. on March 1st, the day after the war began. On Saturday, Gas Buddy says they were averaging $3.70. We have a team of correspondents and analysts joining us this morning to help break down the latest, including the war's impact on gas prices and the political fallout in Washington. NBC News correspondent Matt Bradley joins from Tel Aviv with much more. Matt, good morning. We know Israeli Defense Forces say they hit more than 200 targets across western and central Iran this weekend. That includes command centers, defense systems, weapon production sites. Did Iran return fire, and just what is the latest on the ground where you are in Israel?
Yeah, we've been hearing about Iran returning fire. And in fact, we know because, of course, we hear these sirens regularly, including just this morning, starting our day off. You know, we have heard these sirens with some regularity ever since.
And it sounds like we're having some technical audio issues with Matt Bradley right now. We will see if we can get him back in just a moment and continue our coverage here.
Let's get to the growing economic fallout from the war with Iran. Oil and gas prices continue to soar across the U.S. as Iranian leaders have vowed to keep the Strait of Hormuz effectively closed. On Sunday's Meet the Press, Energy Secretary Chris Wright warned that Americans can expect to feel pain at the pump, quote, for a few more weeks, as long as the Strait remains under threat from Iran. Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker has more from that conversation. Kristen, good morning.
Hello there, Joe and Savannah. This week on Meet the Press, I spoke with Energy Secretary Chris Wright about how long the war with Iran will last. You say a few more weeks. Are you suggesting this war could be over, will be over in a few more weeks?
I think that's the likely time frame, yes. I think the president came out early on saying he expected the need for 4 to 6 weeks to completely defang Iran's military capabilities. We started focused on the projection of distant power. So their Navy's been destroyed, their Air Force has been destroyed, their long-range missiles have been destroyed, their ability to construct and build long-term missiles has been destroyed. And the effort continues now on more of their short-term threats, short-range missiles, drones. The military performance has been outstanding, but it's just critical for the world and critical for the United States that we remove this just growing threat from Iran, defang their ability to rain terror on their neighbors and the world.
You can see my full interview and a whole lot more at MeetThePress.com. You can also get more Meet the Press right here on NBC News Now every weekday at 4 p.m.
Thank you, Kristen. Well, for more on this from Washington, let's bring in NBC News political reporter Megan Leibowitz. Megan, good morning. So we just heard there from the Energy Secretary about this potential time frame for this war, but we've heard shifting messages about that from the administration. What is President Trump saying about the possibility of making some kind of deal to end the war?
Yeah, good morning. President Trump said in an interview with our colleague Kristen Welker over the weekend that Iran wants to make a deal, but that he doesn't want to make a deal yet because he said that the terms are not good enough yet. Now, he said in the interview, asked about the terms needed to create a deal in order to end the war. He declined to say, but he agreed that any deal in order to end the war would need a commitment from Iran in order for it to abandon its nuclear ambitions. Now, President Trump also discussed his views on a potential deal with reporters last night on Air Force One. Take a listen to what he had to say.
I don't know that I want to make a deal because, you know what? First of all, nobody even
do want to note, though, in a separate interview with CBS, Iran's foreign minister appeared to contradict the president, saying that Iran has not asked for a ceasefire and that Iran hasn't asked for negotiations either, Joe and Savannah.
Gas prices are up across the country. We mentioned earlier and heard Secretary Wright saying Americans can expect these prices to remain high for, quote, a few more weeks. What else are we hearing from the administration when it comes to these rising costs?
Yeah, President Trump did not seem too concerned about long-term gas prices in his interview with Kristen Welker, where he said that he ultimately expects gas prices to go lower to what they were previously, and that he also wasn't concerned about gas prices and the impact that they could potentially have on the midterm elections. Also, during that interview with Kristen, he said that there's a lot of oil and gas out there, but he said, quote, it's being clogged up a little bit. It'll be unclogged very soon. Now, at the same time, we're seeing a rise in oil prices because of the war impacting the Strait of Hormuz and the shipping route. Now, President Trump addressed this, as you can see on the screen, in a post to Truth Social, where he said that many countries will send warships in order to keep the strait open and that the U.S. would continue bombing Iran's shoreline. But he declined to name the countries ultimately that he said made a commitment in order to keep the strait open during that interview with Kristen Welker. He also last night with reporters said that he could not name those countries yet because it was a little early, guys.
Megan, FCC Chair Brendan Carr is facing growing backlash this morning. This is because over the weekend he threatened to revoke broadcasters' licenses over what he's calling news distortions of coverage of the war with Iran. What can you tell us on this?
Yeah, so FCC Chair Brendan Carr over the weekend, as you mentioned, he threatened broadcasters' licenses, saying in that post to X that broadcasters must operate in the public interest and they will lose their licenses if they do not. Now, in that post, he also shared a post from President Trump criticizing media coverage of the war in Iran. Last night, we also heard from President Trump on this in a post to Truth Social, where he said he was thrilled about Carr looking at broadcasters' licenses. Now, as you can see on your screen, this got a lot of pushback. The comments from Brendan Carr over the weekend from Democratic lawmakers, you can see a couple of those where Senator Elizabeth Warren said that this is straight out of the authoritarian playbook. Senator Chris Murphy said we aren't on the verge of a totalitarian takeover. We are in the middle of it. And Senator Michael Bennet said that this was a direct attack on the free press in the United States. So this is something that we're going to be continuing to monitor fallout from in the days ahead as we start to hear more from lawmakers on Capitol Hill and see ultimately if Brendan Carr does move forward with trying to suspend broadcasters' license here, guys.
All right, Megan, thank you.
But overnight oil prices continue to climb higher as the war with Iran shows no signs of ending. The international benchmark cost of crude oil now more than $100 a barrel. That's despite efforts by the Trump administration and its allies to slow down those rising prices.
Americans are feeling that spike at the gas pump, with prices expected to soar even higher this week. According to AAA, the national average right now is more than $3.70 per gallon. That is up almost 80 cents from a month ago.
Caleb Silver is here to break down the potential economic impacts. He is the editor-in-chief of Investopedia and chief business editor at People Inc. Caleb, good to have you with us. So oil again topping $100 a barrel. Market's about to open for another week. How critical of a moment is this for the U.S. economy? And if you're a business, just how do you plan in this environment?
Great question, because businesses and everybody that buys oil always buys it in the future. Oil trades 23 hours a day, 6 days a week. So you're always buying future oil. If you're a small business or even if you're a manufacturer or an airline, you're buying oil into the future. So as they stay at high prices, you're going to end up paying higher prices, which get passed on to the consumer. And that inflation leads to slower growth and potentially a recession. We've seen it over and over again in history.
We've talked a lot about the impact that we're seeing when it comes to oil and gas because of these complications in the Strait of Hormuz. Where might we see that next? What other things might get more expensive, and what kind of impact does this have more broadly on the U.S. economy? Yeah,
you're seeing it in airline prices already. And United Airlines CEO is saying these high prices mean higher prices for our passengers, and that means we're going to pay more every time we fly. But you also got to think about the derivatives, plastics and chemicals, jet fuel, obviously, that comes from that as well. So everything that makes makes its way through the supply chain is going to be impacted by this, including food. It's not just what comes through the Strait of Hormuz, it's what has to go around the world in different ways because it can't come through the Strait.
We talk about the Fed Reserve meeting. I would say it's on Wednesday. You would say it's
2 hours, 6 days, and 50 minutes.
All right. Very good. What exactly are we looking for here? What are they expected to do considering everything in this environment? And I assume more than anything, as Jerome Powell gets prepared to step away from his role, we're listening to what he has to say.
Yeah, he got a little bit of a reprieve with the district judge saying he can't be subpoenaed for the rebuild there. But the Fed is not going to do anything because of all this uncertainty. The Fed is facing this rising inflation due to both tariffs and these rising oil prices and the fact that the labor market's slowing. No moves by the Fed come this Wednesday. 100% chance the president will not like that at all.
All right. Caleb Silver, a lot to cover this morning. Appreciate having you with us. Thank you so much.
Well, let's get now to the extreme weather that is hitting the country. I mean, just one extreme end to the other. In Hawaii, a powerful Pacific storm has caused major flooding throughout the islands. In Maui, a couple watched as their home collapsed into the river after the land underneath it was eroded away by fast-moving floodwaters. And on the island of Oahu, farmers were finally able to rescue their horses and other animals that had been trapped for several days by the flooding.
Back here on the mainland, strong storms swept through the Midwest Sunday afternoon. That brought powerful winds, knocking out power to thousands of homes and businesses across the region. It also triggered tornado warnings throughout parts of Missouri. And the upper Midwest is getting pummeled with blizzard conditions as a late season winter storm sweeps across the region. In South Dakota, snow was falling at almost 4 inches an hour. That combined with 50 to 60 mile an hour winds, creating whiteout conditions across much of the state.
NBC meteorologist Andrea Romero is standing by with your complete forecast. But first, our own Angie Lastman is out in the elements. She's in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's currently under a blizzard warning. She joins us with the latest. Angie, thank you very much for being out there for us. So just tell us, what's it like? I mean, we're 4 days from the start of spring. That's not what it looks like on the ground there.
Yeah, anything for you guys. I will even go to multiple inches of snow in March to cover this for you. We've got, of course, a winter wonderland ongoing in Green Bay, as you mentioned, still under a blizzard warning. That's going to last through the day today. And there's no sign of this snow kind of stopping. You can see just how much is on the ground, piles and piles of it. Yesterday, we picked up 17.8 inches of snow in one single day. That is the most that we've had in Green Bay in 137 years. So it's not just any regular snowstorm, even this late in the season for folks in Green Bay. And that's not the only thing that has been going on with this storm system. On the warm side of it, it's the severe storms. We saw multiple strong storms picking up yesterday. The tornadoes potentially still on the table today, but incredible video yesterday from Arkansas. And on top of that, some strong winds piling up multiple vehicles from a dust storm in Texas. This all ongoing through the day today, guys, as well. We're going to continue to see the potential for additional snow in this area, still multiple inches to come across parts of the Midwest. And on top of that, of course, we'll still have that severe threat as that storm system works to the east. Folks from the mid-Atlantic to the Carolinas on tap for the potential there. So we are far from over when it comes to this storm system, causing a whole lot of delays. Yesterday, O'Hare reporting nearly 6-hour delays. Atlanta now has a ground stop, and we have the additional aspect of this storm system, which is power outages for more than 500,000 people. So multiple impacts and still a long way to go.
So,
guys.
Angie, I lived and worked in Green Bay a quarter century ago. First ever restaurant recommendation I'll be sending your way. But I know you've been in Wisconsin since Saturday. People there, they're used to the snow. They're used to the cold. That's part of living in Wisconsin. But still, it's mid-March. It's like this. You've been chatting with people. What's the mood like there?
Yeah, I think the mood, you can imagine, is that they're ready for some warmer weather. But you're right, Joe. They expect this kind of snow here, but this was even more impressive than what they typically get in Green Bay in a single snowstorm. We have talked to a lot of folks that have said that they're so ready for spring, but of course they were preparing for this storm system just like they prepared all winter long. But now they're ready to maybe see some leaves on the trees and be able to see the sidewalk and stop shoveling, I suppose.
That sounds nice. All right, Angie, we'll see you back here.
But in the meantime, we got snowballs.
There you go.
Okay, we'll see you from the warmth of the studio soon. Thanks, Angie.
Snowballs instead of leaves. All right, let's bring in meteorologist Andrea Romero for more on what we can expect now moving forward.
Yes, system. Got our morning news now. Weather, Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. And this storm continues to impact the country with those damaging conditions, especially when we're talking about severe weather. In fact, we can see these severe thunderstorm watches and warning and severe tornado watches and warnings that are extending across this area. And we do have a tornado warning right now south of Atlanta in Georgia. We're talking about Pike County, Upson, Lamar County right now until 7:30. So you want to make sure you take cover in those areas. And today you want to make sure you have a way to receive those weather alerts, because we're expecting these conditions to stretch all across the eastern part of the country. We're tracking these strong and long tornadoes that will be bringing wind gusts of over 75 miles per hour, and even damaging hail is possible with these systems. So we're looking at likely wind event damage across all this area with these fast moving squall lines producing these intense wind gusts. And of course, we're talking about 136 million people that will be impacted with these wind advisories, high wind watches and warnings that will be extending across the country. Right now, we're looking through early tomorrow, peak wind gusts of over 46 miles per hour in New York, 40 miles per hour in Raleigh, 35 miles per hour in Atlanta. So it's not only the winds, but also the wintry weather that we're seeing in parts of the Great Lakes, over Michigan, over Wisconsin. 30 million people are still under these winter alerts throughout the day today. We're still expecting perhaps over a foot of snow that can fall in parts of Michigan. As we can see here, this additional snowfall total that we're expecting through tomorrow as the storm continues to move on eastward. The tornadoes could be strong, mostly along the mid-Atlantic. That's where the bullseye will probably be with this tornadic activity. And of course, the snow will be lingering in the Great Lakes, into the Appalachians as well into tomorrow. We're expecting the windy conditions to be over the lake, over the Great Lakes, with those lake effect snow bands likely to set up across the region, leaving us a little bit of snow. Meanwhile, on the other side of the country, we're dealing with record-breaking temperatures. It's actually a heat wave that's impacting that area. We're expecting these temperatures to continue throughout the week, extending westward into the Rockies, into the south and central parts of the plains. And we can see those temperatures in the 80s, even 90s in parts of Vegas, into the desert southwest, into parts of Southern California. Over 38 million people will be impacted throughout this week with these heat alerts. So it's like two parts. We're seeing the two faces across the country with the wintry weather, the severe storms, and the record heat. So we'll be tracking it all.
The red carpet last night at the Oscars, the celebrities were melting. You could
so
see
hot.
You could see them melting on the red carpet.
It really was. Yeah, it was.
Thanks, Andrea.
Very
Appreciate
interesting.
it.
Thank you. Well, even though Elon Musk is no longer part of the Trump administration, his Department of Government Efficiency is once again in the spotlight. Newly released videos of depositions given by former staffers in a civil suit earlier this year have now gone viral online. NBC News correspondent Julie Sirkin shows us how they defended DOJ's efforts to reduce federal spending by cutting funds from what they labeled as DEI programs.
Former employees of Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency in the hot seat.
You don't regret that people might have lost important income to support their lives?
No.
Deposition videos from January tied to a civil lawsuit going viral online. Lawyers asked former DOJ staffer Justin Fox about projects flagged as diversity, equity, and inclusion, including a documentary about Jewish women forced into slave labor during the Holocaust.
It's specifically focused on Jewish cultures and amplifying the marginalized voices of the females in that culture. It's inherently related to DEI for those reasons.
Fox said he used ChatGPT to help identify and eliminate DEI programs. The depositions are part of a lawsuit filed by humanities groups that say Doge violated the First Amendment by canceling more than 1,400 grants used to fund arts, history, and education projects. On Friday, the judge ordered the groups to remove the videos they posted. The government said Fox was harassed and received death threats because of them. The groups filed an emergency request to reconsider, but it was denied, and a hearing is set for this Tuesday. NBC News obtained the videos from the Internet Archive, and Musk even amplified one of the clips on X. In one video, former staffer Nathan Kavanaugh said their goal was cutting spending.
I think it was more important to reduce the federal deficit from $2 trillion to close to zero.
Did you reduce the federal deficit?
No, we didn't.
Before Doge ceased to exist and Musk's relationship with President Trump ended in a public feud, the agency claimed $150 to $180 billion in savings, far short of eliminating the deficit. Julie Sirkin, NBC News.
It was a history-making night in Hollywood at the 98th Academy Awards. And for Oscar frontrunner One Battle After Another, it was one win after another. The action-fueled political thriller taking home 6 trophies, including the big prize, Best Picture, plus directing and casting, which was a new category this year.
And Sinners, which made Oscar history with 16 nominations, followed with 4 wins, including Michael B. Jordan for Best Actor and for cinematography. Autumn Dewald Arkapaw is the first woman and the first person of color to win in that category. And Billy Crystal delivered an emotional tribute to his best friend, Rob Reiner, and his wife, Michelle, as part of the In Memoriam segment.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.